Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning back in to the third section in this series about how to price your baby plains or western hognose snakes. So, to wrap up pricing, how do we determine the price or value of heterozygous, 66 or 50? We can use the same inputs we put in for the other manners as we did in videos 1 and 2. And another way that somebody had was that they priced their 66 percenters at 66% value of the heterozygous animal. And they had good success with that. Same thing for 50%. So that's something you can do. Now, as we move forward, I want to talk to you about a different element of attaining or looking into how to value your snakes. And this one comes more down to how to value yourself as a business owner. I've got a great video in my series of hognose videos that you can find on my new YouTube channel here about establishing a doing business as. You could also look up different businesses about establishing a partnership, an S Corp, an LLC. Something like this could always help you present your value to your potential audience or your potential buyer pool. Because let's just face it, Morph Market, any other place you go, there is a lot of competition. There are 1,500 plus ads in the United States for hognose snakes on Morph Market. So some may look at that and go, that's a really daunting thing. That's like the big kahuna wave, and I'm just a brand new surfer, right? So I understand that sometimes it looks like a massive uphill battle, but I can assure you with a few points that you can approach it in a different way with a different perspective. Sometimes you've heard me mention some of the podcasts. Maybe if you've been keeping up with that, I talk about a chokehold or a ceiling. That just means what we can fathom or imagine, and sometimes we just need to be pushed beyond. The baby bird has to be pushed out of its nest so it can utilize the wings that it has, and sometimes we just learn on the go. But aside from these things, I would like to promote the idea that you get going with a business. Now, one way, if you don't have the means or the time to get going with a business, at least on Instagram or Facebook, try to get an icon or a logo. An icon or a logo just is generally a name that has a picture. And some of the platforms, selling platforms like eBay, show that there's a 45% better chance for you to boost your customers' confidence in you as a business just by having a picture that's associated with your name. They don't know anything about you. They don't know your past. They don't know your present. They don't know what you look like. And it really doesn't matter. What type of service, what type of products, what type of hognose are you trying to convey or display or sell to an individual? Your picture always creates an association with your name, and it helps to build a social media presence. I had one of the viewers on one of the other videos commented, I believe it was Nixon Reptiles, that talked about not having socials in order, and that can affect the value of the animals that you're trying to sell. So I would encourage you, if you're a new breeder, go ahead and pick a name, look through there, try not to copycat somebody else too quick, but give some time and look into it and figure out what you're going to name your entity. It may be you sell 6 hognose a year. It doesn't matter. You're just coming up with something that's individual. It's something that's personal. And when breeders are looking through or buyers are looking through Morph Market, they'll go, hey, if you look right here on the page we're looking at on Morph Market, there are 3 listings that we're viewing right now for lavender hognose snakes. One of those has their icon in the top corner there. It says cold-blooded. That's something that me as a buyer, I'm looking at this picture. The picture looks good. It's crisp. It has a good background. They're engaging with the animal. They're looking at it. And it has that icon in the top corner. Not only does that become an expression of you as a person, your personality, your individuality, but it is a reflection of the product or the animal that you're trying to convey or sell. So definitely get on that first and foremost. Even if you don't do the the business type, at least you could do something like that, and that will definitely help you to at least get your name out or get somebody to look at your listing, and that would be something cool. So another thing to look at is price. There are breeders in this market that have been doing this a long time, and they can pretty much set their prices and individuals will pay it because it's backed up by their reputation, and you may not be there. So I do encourage folks that do have a logo or an icon, they got good-looking animals, good stock that they're selling. If your price is too high, you can price it and just be patient with it and reduce your price maybe in a month. If the animal hasn't sold, reduce your price by 10% or 20% and see if price is not where somebody's hung up on. Maybe you look professional, maybe your animals look great, but they're going, I can buy this animal from this person, or I can go over here and get it from one of the big well-known breeders. Which one are they going to do? Generally, it's going to be the latter. They're going to go with the big breeder. So that would be the second thing I would encourage you to do, is just give it some time. And if it's not selling, then reduce your price. If you find that even after 30% discount in a couple or 3 months that you haven't sold stuff, then I would encourage you to pursue your breeder you purchased your animals from and ask them if they do any buybacks of offspring. It is not uncommon in the hognose market. It's not talked about a lot, but it's still not uncommon for breeders to buy quality stock and offspring from the people they sell animals to. Meaning if they've sold you, let's just say, a pair of het lavender and you hatched out some lavender like the ones you see here, ask your breeder that you purchased your animals from if they would be interested in those at a reduced price. Generally speaking, that's a wholesale price that you sell your animals back to your breeder for. They do the legwork, they do the heavy lifting, they get your animal acclimated according to their feeding schedules and resell it to their buyers. They have bigger markets and bigger pools, and it is a viable method that a lot of us breeders have done through the years. This contrasts or differs from something that has a bad reputation in the hognose market or in other markets called flipping. That is not flipping, that is reselling. It means you have quality animals, you're selling back to a quality breeder that will find quality homes. There's no issue with that. There's no issue with the reselling. I have no problem with that. The problem is when you take animals that you've just hatched out and some random person buys those, never feeding them, taking them to a show the next day, and selling them to unsuspecting buyers at a reduced price or a low price, making $50 a head, $100 a head, whatever. And then those animals get into the hands of new keepers that can't properly care for them, or maybe they've never fed, maybe they were dehydrated, diseased, whatever, and people get a bad taste in their mouth for the hognose hobby. That's just not something we want to get into. So if all cases fail, reach out to your breeder, talk to them, say, hey, I got these good quality animals. I need to find homes for them. Do you do consignment? Do you do wholesale? Can I sell them to you at 40% of their retail value? And you can find homes for them. You can acclimate them. Some of the breeders even purchase from their customers to add animals back into their breeding project. I've done that very same thing where I've reached out to people and said, okay, you got some babies from my stock? I'm going to take those back and reincorporate them. Of course, there's quarantine procedures to do. Every breeder has to do that anytime there's a change of hands. There are quarantine measures that need to be taken. But what I'm trying to convey to you as a newer breeder is this is a viable option, especially if you have trouble selling in the market because of how big it is. I hope this has been of interest to you. I hope it's been of value. I think it has, and hopefully it provides some encouragement to you as a newer breeder that if you go to the shows or if you do online sales and it just seems like all has failed, there are still some viable options to get your animals into good hands and everybody to be happy all the way around. As always, guys, thanks for your subscription to this channel. Thanks for liking, and feel free to share, and we will catch you on the flip side.